Big event today in the White House was the president signed an executive order, kind of sort of abolishing the Department of Education. They can't programmatic funding out of Washington, D.C. back to state and local. A bunch of governors, Republican governors on hand, but reminiscent of the bill signing, or the not the bill signing, the executive order signing on trans athletes playing in women's sports, where the president surrounded himself with women and girls of all ages. I'm going to play number one here. This is video of the president signing the executive order related to the abolition of the Department of Education. Roll number one, please.
Should I do this? It was very lucky. I signed another document that turned out to be very good for the country, and I said, let's use that same pen. I don't know, is anybody superstitious? Ron, are you superstitious? Let's use that same pen. Okay.
All right, so we'll get to the substance, such as it is, of the president's posture on the Department of Education in a second. But Mark, just talking about this, the stagecraft, the staging of these White House events, it seems very sophisticated to me and very effective. Just your thoughts on how they're staging these bill signings and things like this with the kids in there as I'll call them human props.
I mean, this was a president whose brand was born of the tabloids and then solidified by NBC and The Apprentice. He now owns and has owned his own social media network, Truth Social. So it's a White House from the top down that is conscious of image, sound, video, B-roll, sound bites. They're in their element.
Brian.
I thought that it was a great, honestly, photo shoot. I saw the picture before I saw the video, and I thought the image looked good. I mean, that's effective as far as you want it. I don't really know how he's going to end the Department of Education. I mean, they could turn the lights off and leave the building empty, but it will still be there. And as long as Congress funds it, I think it's telling that there's not, 400 members of Congress behind him right there to sit there with signing of the executive order or enough to pass the bill. But I don't know. It was good spectacle.
All right, let's look at number two. This is the president remarks around the bill signing, talking about his feelings about abolition of the Department of Education. Number two, please.
After 45 years, the United States spends more money on education by far than any other country, and spends likewise by far more money per pupil than any country, and it's not even close. But yet we rank near the bottom of the list in terms of success. It's an amazing stat. Those are two stats you don't want. The most money spent per pupil, and you're at the bottom of the list. And that's where we are, like it or not. And we've been there for a long time. 70% of eighth graders are not proficient in either reading or in math. 70%. 40% of fourth graders lack even basic reading skills, can't read. Students in our public elementary and middle schools score worse in reading today than when the department opened, by a lot. In Baltimore, 40% of the high schools have 0 students who can do basic mathematics. Not even the very simplest of mathematics. I said, give me your definition of basic. And they're talking about like adding a few numbers together. Despite these breathtaking failures, the department's discretionary budget has exploded by 600% in a very short period of time, and it employs bureaucrats in buildings all over Washington, D.C. And as a former real estate person, I will tell you, I ride through the streets of Washington and it says Department of Education, Department of Education. I said, how do you fill those buildings? It's crazy what's happened over the years.
All right. Ryan, what do you think of the message? I know you rightly are skeptical that this will eliminate the department, but what do you think of the message and the politics of that posture.
So I deal with school board elections for my PAC, the 1776 Project PAC. I know education pretty well in this country. What he's saying, with the exception of the comment about international standards, which are mostly nonsense because most countries don't even do the international standards, he is right more than he is wrong. However, the Department of Education is not the primary driver of those problems. Parental involvement is garbage for many communities in this country. The teachers unions innovate, don't allow competition, don't allow anything. Uh, the problem of how kids act in school is super problematic, leading to very bad teacher retention levels, a lot of fighting in the classrooms. And the fact is that schools are given more money when they fail, and they're incentivized to fail forwards. So that's how you end up with eighth graders and high schoolers that are in terrible situations. This is all leading up to a massive push to get a voucher program, a national voucher program, a national school choice program forward, which is, I guess, better than the current standards, though also has a number of issues that I find that won't actually address the problem. Here's the thing about education. Everyone wants a silver bullet that doesn't actually exist. The problem with education is local, it's multifaceted. There's a million different issues to actually deal with it and tackle it. Some governors have really tried, some mayors have tried, but from the top-down approach from the federal government, all you're going to be doing is passing around money, and it's now going to be a grab bag of who gets the money.
What governors are good at education policy today?
Sarah Huckabee Sanders has tried a number of different things. Some have worked, some haven't. The governor of Louisiana, the former Democratic governor of Louisiana, was very, very good. He instituted bringing back where you sound out the words in English class. Now I'm blanking on it, of course, but
English is a second language?
No. During the 2000s, because Bush liked phonics. Sorry, he brought back phonics in the classrooms.
Yeah.
Yes, 2000s, because Bush liked phonics so much, Democrats did something called sight learning, which is an absolute asinine way that did not work. And for 20 years, that's why reading levels have completely collapse. Sight learning is where you memorize a word and then you sit there and that's how you apply it. You don't have to sound out the word. It's terrible. It doesn't work, and it's been absolutely rejected from most schools. But Governor of Mississippi, Brandon Tate, the Miracle Mississippi fourth graders went from, I think, number 49 in the country to number 27 over the course of 2 years because they stopped allowing kids to fail forwards. Basically, a kid could not read at the fourth grade level. They could not go to fifth grade. They had an immense jump, by the way, with very little increases in funding, no massive school choice programs. They just stopped letting kids fail forwards. Those two governors, the last Democrat governor and the current Republican governor of Mississippi, I think it's Tate Reeves still, did a very, very good job of education. Ron DeSantis does a good job of education, but a lot of people have really let it go by the wayside.
Yeah. Mark, how central is education to the agenda of the administration?
I mean, beyond the culture war issue and sort of the budget cutting issue, I don't think very strong. Point of personal privilege, married to a public school teacher. And so what Ryan is saying is correct. What does drive teachers crazy, my wife is not a member of the teacher union, by the way, is this statement that, oh, we do all this funding and things aren't better. As Ryan points out, ultimately, education does start at home, and schools reflect a society, they reflect neighborhoods, they reflect households. And the less that parents read to their kids and teach their kids for a variety of reasons, the worse off they are. And that's reflected on out. It's not to scapegoat all the parents, but my wife's experience, having taught at one of the poorest Miami schools and now teaching at one of the richest elementary schools, which are a mile and a half apart in Miami-Dade County. It's really just kind of a remarkable thing to just see as a citizen, as a husband, as the father of public school kids as well, and a private school kid.
What grade is she teaching this year?
She teaches fifth.
Yeah. And are the other teachers in her school in the union?
Some are, some aren't. The remarkable thing when she left her old school that was poorer was just the way in which the problems of the poor community kind of pressed in by osmosis. These children lived in trauma.
Yeah.
A kid would come into school one day, hadn't slept. Why? Mom got stabbed in her chest by her boyfriend. Another kid, dad died suddenly of a heart attack. Shootings in the neighborhood, shutting schools down periodically. Yet a mile and a half away, in yet a totally different universe, these problems don't exist.
Amazing.